Hello everyone. Today I'll be presenting my advanced challenge project, Born into the Algorithm, the Hidden Costs of Family Entertainment. So, before we get started, I want you to imagine something. What if your entire childhood, from embarrassing moments, your bad days, and even your private routines, was posted online for millions to see, all without your consent? This isn't a hypothetical situation. For a huge majority of children featured in family blogging channels, this is reality. Their parents film almost everything, whether it's tantrums, doctor visits, first heartbreaks, and even deeply private moments, and upload it to platforms such as YouTube, where videos featuring these young children get far more attention, turning childhood into content and profit. In this presentation, we'll be covering the psychological effects that these children face, the laws and regulations that prevent such issues, economic incentives and algorithms, as well as potential solutions. So I chose this project for my extended project qualification as I've always been interested in social justice, particularly children's and women's rights, which led me to explore the ethical issues on online platforms. I noticed parent-managed channels often portray their children in mature and suggestive ways to gain views and profit, which didn't sit right with me. This topic matters to me because I believe every single child, no matter their background, deserves a childhood free from exploitation and harm. Now let's take a look at the first phase of my EPQ, which was about the research and key findings. Many children in parent-managed family channels are being treated as performers, often being sexualized in videos meant to be entertaining. So case studies such as Piper of Kell, Ren Eleanor, Fantastic Adventures, and even Daddy-O5 reveal serious exploitation, including emotional and physical abuse, unpaid labor, and even forced performance. Growing up under these conditions can have long-term psychological effects such as blurred boundaries between reality and performance, anxiety, body image issues, loss of control over personal image, worsened family relationships, and even lasting trauma. And these children often have little say in how they are portrayed, leaving them vulnerable to both online predators and long-term reputational harm. In these situations, parents often rely on their children as the main source of income through advertisements, sponsorships, and even brand deals. So platforms including YouTube and TikTok amplify this by promoting content that generates high engagement, regardless of the risks to children. So for example, Colborn 2025 discusses how Piper Raquel's channel has earned up to $500,000 per month, incentivizing her mother to produce suggestive content that increase the exposure to predators. These profit motives and algorithms are what encourages harmful content, endangering the children's well-being. Now, existing legal protections for child performers online are limited and quite inconsistent. So, in international frameworks such as the United Nations Convention on Rights of a Child and the International Labour Organization conventions do set standards against exploitation, but the enforcement varies. In the US, laws such as the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule and even state-level regulations offer some safeguards, but the majority of children remain unprotected and the enforcement is very weak. The European Union's GDPR and DSA, as well as Australia's Online Safety Act, provide stronger privacy protections and regulate exploitative content, but gaps do remain. Platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, and Meta implement community guidelines to prevent sexualization and abuse, but these heavily rely on reports, and non-monetized channels often escape examination. So overall, children cannot take action until adulthood, leaving them exposed throughout their childhood. For potential solutions, researchers propose several strategies to better protect children in family blogging. Abrams 2023 suggests a UNCRC-based protocol for social media regulating child labor, privacy, and consent globally. Kramer 2025 recommends federal digital child labor laws, including mandatory trust funds, strict limits on filming hours, bans on sexualized content, and the legal right to erasure once children reach a certain age. And then Edwards 2024 proposes combining earning trusts, school safeguards, parental monitoring, and platform accountability. So despite enforcement challenges, these reforms could actually greatly reduce child exploitation and privacy harm. So to address this issue and spread awareness about the dangers of family-oriented content, I created a 5-episode podcast called Born into the Algorithm, the Hidden Costs of Family Entertainment, which explores the rapid rise of family vlogging on platforms such as YouTube and TikTok and the ethical concerns around featuring children in these online content. So the reason I chose a documentary-style podcast is because this allows me to explore the topic in depth while still staying engaging, and it helps communicate to the audience in a format that's easy for audiences to consume. This phase of my EPQ is split into three main parts. The pre-production process, which is the planning phase of filmmaking, video production, or other creative performances that occurs after a project is greenlit and before the actual filming begins. The production process, which is the specific stage where a script is brought to life by capturing raw footage on set or on location with the cast and crew. And finally, the production process, which is the final stage of film and video creation where raw footage captured during the production is transformed into a cohesive, polished final product through editing, sound design, visual effects, and even color grading. Starting with the pre-production process, I had a lot to plan, including the episode structure, the podcast structure, the episode outline, the production schedule, script writing, theme and design, delivery skills, tools, and even ethical considerations. So here, not only did I just write a script, but I also planned the lighting, the background of the podcast, the importance of effective narrating and delivery, as well as noting down the ethical implications to consider whilst filming and editing my podcast. Next, I worked on the actual production where I had to get to work as everything is self-operated, including audio, camera, and lighting. And I also had a trial production to ensure good quality in my episodes. Filming took from 3 to 5 hours depending on the episode length, as I had to memorize the lines and ensure everything was in perfect quality. And then finally, I reached the post-production phase where I had to focus on editing. It wasn't something new to me as I am experienced in editing, but I still learned a lot during the process. I had to use multiple editing apps such as CapCut, InShot, and iMovie to make these episodes come to life. This section of my production made me realize how much editing can actually influence how your audience takes in information, as adding too less cuts and elements could make the audience bored, whilst adding too much could make them feel overwhelmed. Music is also a big factor when it comes to podcasts, so I ensured to select the best royalty-free music I could find out there. Though working on this project was very inspirational, I faced a lot of challenges on the way across different stages of production. First, script writing was tricky as I had to turn my research into a narrative-style script that was clear, engaging, and easy to follow. Filming also presented difficulties as I ran into technical issues such as the correct camera placement and eye placement that made capturing the footage so much more complicated than expected. And finally, editing was a little bit time-consuming and a little bit frustrating at times as the apps I was using had limitations that slowed down the process and restricted what I could do. Working through these challenges taught me a lot about adapting to obstacles, managing my time, and finding creative solutions while still keeping the project on track. This has been a really inspiring and reflective journey for me, as not only did I gain a lot of skills in audio operating, filming, lighting, script writing, but I also gained a deeper understanding of what these children have to go through every day. Working on this project helped me recognize how easily audiences overlook these issues, especially when the content is presented as entertaining or harmless. And it also showed me how important it is to raise awareness and start conversations about the topic, as many people don't fully consider the long-term impact of the children involved. So overall, this experience has helped me grow both creatively and in my understanding of real-world issues, making the project feel meaningful as well as educational. Before I end this presentation, I would like to give you some points on what you can do as a viewer to help stop exploitation of children in online content. First, be mindful of what you watch. Avoid content that shows any signs of exploitation. Second, stop engagement. Don't like, comment, share, or subscribe to channels that exploit children. Report harmful content. Use platform tools to flag videos or accounts for review. Support ethical creators. Follow and promote channels that respect children's privacy. Raise awareness. Share stories, resources, and even advocacy campaigns about online child safety. And finally, take action in your community. Talk to family, friends, and even local groups about the risks of oversharing children online. Here are all of my resources. And that is all for my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.